It's precisely 1:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Danushka Madhavala and read by Sabrina Zawahir. First, the headlines. 75% of fertilizer required for the Yala season has already been distributed. A 5-member committee has been appointed to study the gas price revisions. Sri Lanka is seeking an interim claim of $40 million from the operator of the fire-ravaged MV Express Pearl cargo ship. More than 200 kilograms of heroin have been arrested in Waligama. The police yesterday made the highest number of arrests within a single day related to quarantine law violations. 2,354 new COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday. And in world news, Swiss to vote in pesticide ban referendum. Now the local news in detail. Minister Mahinda Nandalutgamage says that the 75% of fertilizer required for the Yala season have already been distributed through agriculture service centres at present. An artificial shortage has arisen due to the excessive requirement existed during the past few weeks. Almost all the fertilizer requirement has been fulfilled in some districts including Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa. He added that the government spends more than 100 billion rupees for the fertilizer annually. Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Nandalutgamage says the benefit of eliminating chemicals and replacing them with organic fertilizer is immeasurable. Speaking to media in Kandy, Minister Alutgamage said due to the use of chemical fertilizer, farmers have faced various health issues such as chronic kidney diseases. He said they want to safeguard the lives of farmers and therefore a decision was taken to ban the import of chemical fertilizer. Minister Alutgamage noted no one must stand for or support the use of chemical fertilizer. He said due to the new initiative, farmers may face certain issues during the next season or two, adding it will help them and the country in the long run. The minister said farmers are an integral group of the voter base of Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Mahinda Rajapaksa, and therefore they will not initiate any programs that are harmful. Minister of Trade Bandula Gunawardena said that the approval has not yet been given for a gas price revision and a 5-member committee has been appointed to study the global gas prices. He also said that the Consumer Affairs Authority has received requests to increase the LP gas prices by 700 rupees. Meanwhile, the 2 domestic gas suppliers in the country have also commented on the need to increase the gas prices. Chairman of Love's Gas Limited, W.K. Vegapitia, has said that according to the world market prices in the months of March and April, the domestic gas cylinder prices should be increased by at least 540 rupees. Anil Koswata, chairman of Litro Gas, has also emphasized the need to increase the gas prices. He said that the price of a domestic gas cylinder should be increased by at least 580 rupees. Sri Lanka is seeking an interim claim of $40 million from the operator of the fire-ravaged MV Express Pearl cargo ship to cover part of the cost of fighting the blaze. Sri Lanka's Attorney General has sent the claim to lawyers representing Express Feeders, the ship's operating company, said Darshani Lahandapura, head of the state-run Marine Environment Protection Authority. She said authorities were still assessing the total damages and the interim claim seeks compensation for expenses from May 20th when the ship caught fire through June 1st. The fire broke out while the Singapore-flagged MV Express Pearl was anchored about 9.5 nautical miles northwest of the capital Colombo and waiting to enter the port. Special anti-drug operation conducted by Sri Lanka Navy made way to seize about 220 kilograms of heroin believed to be about 1,600 million rupees. 9 suspects arrested in the operation conducted in the coastal area of Polwatamodara, Waligama yesterday. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Scan the Lanka QR code and make your payments with People's Pay mobile payment app from People's Bank.
Continuing local news. A special task force has arrested an individual in connection to drug-related offences at the Grand Pass area yesterday. A stash of 50 grams of narcotic drugs has been found with the arrested suspect. The arrestee is a 41-year-old female named Karupaya Nirmala. Police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana said the suspect has been identified to be the daughter of Karupaya Balan Telbala, who fled to India after committing several crimes in Sri Lanka. She has been handed over to the Police Narcotics Bureau. The police yesterday made the highest number of arrests within a single day related to quarantine law violations. According to police media spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana, as many as 1,353 more individuals were taken into custody for failing to adhere to health protocols and quarantine regulations while in public. The Quarantine Law Gazette notification was published on the 15th of October 2020. However, the police have been enforcing the law regarding the Quarantine Gazette since the 30th of October 2020. Among the arrestees, 180 were made by Matale Police, 79 by Nikavaratia Police, and 72 others by police stations in the city of Colombo. Therefore, the police have made nearly 31,395 arrests so far with regard to violation of quarantine laws since last October. According to Epidemiology Unit of the Health Ministry, 2,354 new COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday. Among the positive cases identified Saturday, 2,340 are from the New Year COVID-19 cluster and 24 foreign arrivals currently in quarantine. According to the Epidemiology Unit report, a total of 221,277 COVID-19 cases have been reported and 32,688 infected patients are being treated at hospitals, while 186,516 patients have fully recovered and been discharged from hospitals. According to the Epidemiology Unit report, so far a total of 2,199,504 people have received a first dose of COVID-19 vaccine and 433,202 have received the second dose. Sri Lanka confirmed another 63 deaths due to COVID-19 yesterday. The Director General of Health Services Saturday confirmed 63 deaths occurred from 23rd of May to 11th June due to COVID-19 virus infection. Deaths occurred on 12th June have not been reported yet. The total number of deaths due to COVID-19 infection in Sri Lanka is 2,136 by now. With that, we conclude the local news. The main news story follows.
Nobody looks for hotels like this. So why do you still pay with cash when you have People's Pay mobile app from People's Bank? Scan the Lanka QR code and make your payments with People's Pay mobile payment app from People's Bank.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
General Shavendra Silva, Sri Lanka Army Commander and the head of the National Operations Centre for Prevention of COVID-19 outbreak, said special military intelligence teams have been deployed across the country to search for information on people travelling unnecessarily in violation of quarantine laws. The Army Commander further said it is the responsibility of these teams to surveil the places where quarantine laws are being violated and inform the relevant authorities, including the police, about the violators. He said that although the behaviour of many is satisfactory, during the period when travel restrictions have been declared, behaviour of some is regrettable. The Army Commander requested the people not to leave their homes for any reason other than a matter of urgency and said that the decision to reopen the country is made by the people themselves. That was our main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watchlight, The Consumer Affairs Authority says that they have detected a racket where bills are altered for purchases done online. The authority said that it has been done by the middlemen transporting goods to the consumers. The Consumer Affairs Authority requests the public to inform them over the hotline number 1977 about such irregular activities. That came to you in Watchlight. A bulletin of world news follows. Taking a look at the headlines of the world news. David Attenborough says G7 leaders face biggest climate change decisions in history. Swiss to vote in pesticide ban referendum. Bidder pays $28 million for space trip with Amazon's Bezos. Now the world news in detail. G7 leaders are facing the most important decisions in human history as they seek to tackle climate change, Sir David Attenborough has said. The naturalists will address world leaders gathered in Cornwall on Sunday as they set out plans to cut carbon emissions and restore biodiversity. Ahead of the meeting, Sir David warned that humans could be on the verge of destabilizing their entire planet. Climate change is one of the key themes at the three-day summit in Carisbrooke. The group of 7, the UK, US, Canada, Japan, France, Germany and Italy are expected to pledge to almost halve their emissions by 2030 relative to 2010 levels. The UK has already surpassed that commitment previously, promising to cut emissions by the equivalent of 58% on 2010 levels. Swiss citizens are due to vote in a referendum which could see their country become only the second in the world to ban synthetic pesticides. One initiative proposes to end subsidies to farmers who use such pesticide, while another would ban them altogether within 10 years. Supporters point to worrying levels of pesticides in water and damage to plants, animals and insects. But Swiss farmers warn the proposals will put many of them out of business. A mystery bidder has paid $28 million for a seat on Amazon's founder Jeff Bezos' first crewed spacelift by the billionaire's Blue Origin company. This winning bid was made at Saturday's auction, with Blue Origin tweeting that the winner's identity would be revealed in the coming weeks. The bidding process attracted interests from more than 140 countries. The other 2 crew members of the 20th July flight are Mr. Bezos' brother Mark and an unnamed space tourist. After a nearly month-long bidding process, the top bid had stood at just under $5 million, but once Saturday's online auction got underway, that figure rose more than 5 times. That ends World News. Prior to concluding the World News, the headlines once again. David Attenborough says G7 leaders face biggest climate change decisions in history. Swiss to vote in pesticide ban referendum. Bidder pays $28 million for space trip with Amazon's Bezos. With that, we conclude the world news. Next up is the development news. Taking a look at the development news. Minister of Youth and Sports, State Minister of Digital Technology and Entrepreneur Development, Namal Rajapaksa, has requested relevant authorities to expedite the project of enabling all school children in the country to engage in online learning free of any internet charges through the e-Taxilava program. He said this while participating in a meeting held at the Temple Trees yesterday, emphasizing the need to eliminate shortcomings in the current e-Taxilava system. He also instructed the relevant to roll out the first phase of allowing 200 students to access online classes free of charge through the e-Taxilava scheme by the 21st of July. The minister has also reportedly instructed the relevant to work on an appropriate mobile app to help support the children who are going through various difficulties when it comes to online learning. That was the development news. Next up is the sports news. Taking a look at the sports news, it's cricket. England have no chance of regaining the Ashes in Australia if their batting continues to be fragile, says former captain Michael Vaughan. Joe Root's side face a series defeat by New Zealand after being reduced to 122-9, leading by 37 on the third day of the second test at Edgbaston. England play 5 tests against India before the winter tour of Australia. They now have just 5 chances to sort the batting out before the Ashes, Warne told BBC Test Match Specials. That was the sports news. Next up is the business news.
Contributory deposit of ₹1,000 from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
State Minister Diluma Mudugama says retaining the generalised scheme of preferences plus concession will be beneficial for Sri Lanka, but it will not have a major bearing on the country's economy. Speaking to the media in Kandy, State Minister Mudugama said despite obtaining the GSP Plus trade concession, the previous government achieved only a 3% economic growth. The State Minister said even without a trade concession, the previous United People's Freedom Alliance-led government managed to maintain a 14 to 15% economic growth rate during the post-war period. That was the business news.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of ₹1,000 from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
In economic news, State Minister Janaka Wakkumbura says the country's sugarcane harvest will be developed by the use of organic fertilizer alone. Speaking to the media at an inspection tour of the Sevanagala sugar factory, the State Minister said they will be able to manufacture sugar that could be safely consumed by people and satisfy local demand. He assured this step was being taken in line with the President's policy statement. The State Minister claimed chemical fertilizer was used to produce imported sugar. Therefore, he assured that their success could be measured within the coming year. The State Minister revealed that he plans to uplift sugarcane farmers by giving them a fair revenue and by providing them more facilities. That ends economic news.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Finally, it's a look at the weather report. Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in central and Sabaragamuwa provinces, and fairly heavy falls, about 50 millimeters, can be expected at some places. Several spells of showers will occur in western and northwestern provinces and in Galle and Matara districts. Wind speed will be 30 to 40 kilometers per hour in the western slope of the Central Hills, northern, north central and northwestern provinces, and in Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. The wind speed can be increased up to 50 kilometers at times in these areas. That was the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. 75% of fertilizer required for the Yala season has already been distributed. A 5-member committee has been appointed to study the gas price revisions. Sri Lanka is seeking an interim claim of $40 million from the operator of the fire-ravaged MV Express Pearl cargo ship. More than 200 kilograms of heroin have been arrested in Waligama. The police yesterday made the highest number of arrests within a single day related to quarantine law violations. 2,354 new COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday.